Okay, service innovation, class 8, innovate and develop new services. What did we do last week? Where do really we get ideas from? How do we find them? People, we look at the ecosystem, think visually, and customers often come to you with potential solutions. This week, we're going to have a look at innovation process. I'm going to start with that. Ulwick's innovation process for outcome-driven innovation. I find a very attractive approach to innovation, to be able to understand how and where to innovate. Pros and cons of Stagegate, which can help, which can hinder, and I'm going to give you time to look at your own company, your own project. Look at the two videos, particularly the first one is quite funny. I'm glad that you attended my classes rather than just watch the video. Classwork, describe an ideal innovation process for services, if you can. Got some working sheets. Now I'm going to go into understanding innovation. I want to go back to Ulwick. We've done some of this already, but I find it a very good approach. I find this model, this high-level model, very, very useful. My question is, can you create and describe a similar process for services that you think would work? Pros and cons of Stagegate. I put it on a tombstone. It's slow, high overhead. It's emphasised the substance or the form. Much more on the form, I find. Have you ticked all the boxes? It can kill innovation because it's too complicated. It's a one-time box. Also, I have to question, there's only one book in 10 on services based on the Stagegate process. I think the Stagegate process is great for developing a new product where you have lots of risk, but in developing a new service, which is relatively minor in terms of risk content, I don't find it particularly attractive. Helps the product developers put some form around their thoughts. I've seen lots and lots and lots of ways to make the Stagegate work, but it doesn't gel well with the service culture. You can end up with a service being developed in the time that you've gone from one review to the next review in the Stagegate. It doesn't necessarily work with the rhythms of service. What it does deliver is a system with processes, with checks and balances, which I think is important. I'm not the only one. Clayton Christian has some issues about it, as does Larry Killy from Dalwyn. It's better not having a process, but you need it in some form, a process to help you innovate, to capture what you've done and replicate it. But particularly in services, it's a bit tough. And this is really because innovation doesn't happen only in the R&D department. Stagegate was great for product development. We have disruptive and we have incremental or sustaining. We have two very different things, so the same process isn't necessarily going to help with both. Innovation here comes from inside and outside the business. I've looked at the ecosystem here, so really what's the implications for it? It's why I like Chesebrough. He shows the open innovation value chain, a much more open approach to innovation and how it can work and where we get ideas from and how we can test solutions. What outcomes do we need for a Stagegate-like process to be productive? Customer focus. If you haven't spoken to a customer, it doesn't work. We want to be heavy front end to understand really what the problem is, the real root cause of the problem. And we want spiral development loops, so we can actually dig deeper where we need to dig deeper. We need metrics, we need accountability, we need P&L. We need to have continual learning. That we need to focus on the management of the portfolio, so we understand how the portfolio, and we need something which is lean and scalable. To do this, they've actually adjusted the original Stagegate and ended up with Stagegate Lite through to the full Stagegate. Stagegate Lite, I think, is pretty good in terms of basic service development. For more advanced service development, the Express may be more appropriate. The real value, these were some blocks that I think actually describe where the value from the Stagegate comes from. But still, We need disruptive innovations and we need development loops to come through. Classification, how do we classify it? Traditionally we would look at existing, new, service, product or markets. I think it's better to look at the uncertainty, and this comes back to the business model, which you'll see next week, where we actually try to de-risk and understand what's going on. So we start to improve certainty both on the technical side and the market side. Loops within the Stagegate process gives us the ability to find out market acceptance and technical risk that's really held within there. So it gives us a try and play or play, test, beta phases, call it what you like, but it gives us opportunity to go test. If I have a Stagegate and somebody says they haven't spoken to a customer, I will reject them. If you haven't gone to see one of the people outside of your firm, reject, kill, that project is not going to succeed. Iterations, prototype, test, develop, improve. Understand why you're doing that reflection each time. Understand the assumptions, understand your lessons learned, both the positive and the negative. So slowly you move from high risk uncertainty, both on the technical and on the market side, to something where it's relatively well understood. So coming back to this, what we need is scene setting, why we're doing innovation, and then we need something which is process control, which is why I like the Express and the light version of the Stagegate. I think if they're managed properly, they give you the opportunity to understand and control what's going on, as well as understand why you're doing innovation. So by today, the end of today, you will have created an innovation process for service development, for service design. You will have reviewed the outcomes for outcome-based innovation, which I think is a very useful way of understanding whether you're over or under delivery. You'll understand the pros and cons of the Stagegate, which I think are really important, and you will have had time then to work on your customer. We now have enough innovation management control, and I think that's really important to understand how that fits together. We want to have the appropriate level. Thanks.